goodbye. Never can say goodbye. Every time I think I've had enough and start heading for the door, there's a very strange vibration.
My name is Rufus Johnson. I am the founder and the CEO of the RealTruthinc. We live today. Listen, I will be covering the Democratic Party all the way up to the election time. I'll be having a lot of different city officials, state officials coming on the show. We're going to be covering things in the community. We're going to be covering things about the casino. I mean, we're just going to talk about all different issues in the community and what's been here wow, okay, that must have been a technical problem. It caught me off guard. But we'll be talking about all the different issues that's concerning Cincinnati, where we going, and different things in that matter. I'm back on the air since from last month. I'm on my new series, so all the new series you can be rest assured we'll have Dale Mallory here. We also will be having On the Real Side with Dr. Stephen Reese, that he would be here on my entertainment channel, Martial Art Fitness. So I'm gonna be kicking all my series off. My new producer assistants, Tanya Dumas. I mean, a lot of people is here. We're gonna be really putting a lot of work in. But you know, I want to start off with a friend of a friend of a friend. I guess I would do it like that. I met Denise Driehaus. The first conversation came up through Nicholas Holland. And then I had Stephen Driehaus on about I think it was last year when he ran for Congress. Mm-hmm. And he was on my show and he gave me a love. Ozzie Davis had made that happen because he was the community liaison for him at that time. And then I got an opportunity to have an hour show in conjunction with Tracy Hunter. Because Tracy Hunter at that time was running for her judgmentship, and I had an opportunity to really, I'm gonna play that. Matter of fact, I'm going to my library, I'm gonna throw that up, and I got a chance to really sit down with him in his office and come in the studio and just really learn a lot about his position and what he stood for and his principles and the love that he had for the community. But today's guest is his sister, Denise Driehaus, state representative, Denise Driehaus. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What district that you the state representative of for?
The 31st House District.
Okay, I wanted this basically as open this forum up that's talking about, this conversation that's talking about your family background. How did you get started in politics? Because it seemed like this is a family trench, that led from one thing to another. And, just about, your concerns. But I want to at least first start from the family background of being a politician. Okay, what that means to you?
Oh, it means everything to me, because I consider it to be service, and Steve did too. And by the way, so Steve's in Swaziland. Everybody's always asking me, how's Steve? So Steve's in Swaziland. He's the director of the Peace Corps in Swaziland, and he's got 70 volunteers over there, and they're doing HIV/AIDS work, and he's very committed to it.
Now that's over in Africa?
Okay. Swaziland is right just north of South Africa, and so it's on the continent, and he loves it. He just loves it. He's getting a lot done. He's in town. He was in town for Labor Day in Cincinnati, and now he's in D.C. for a conference, flying back over tomorrow. My mom's going over too for a little while, so that'll be fun.
So they got some kind of missionary going on to help to fight AIDS over there, or to assist in AIDS?
It's the Peace Corps program. He was in the Peace Corps when he came out of college and spent 2.5 years in Senegal, which is kind of on the other coast of Africa. So now he's on the east coast in Swaziland and doing HIV/AIDS work. And like I said, he's got 70 volunteers, and that's a lot of volunteers in a very concentrated area, but the need is there because Swaziland has the highest concentration of HIV/AIDS in the world, and so that's where he's spending his time.
So when the volunteers come from all over, or just from different states and cities?
All over the world. They
All
come
over the
from all over
world.
the world. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's fascinating, and he loves it. So he's over there and coming back next Christmas because it's a 2.5-year commitment. And people have asked me, well, you know, what's he thinking? You know, what's he going to do? And he could re-up for another 2.5 years in the Peace Corps, or do something else. And I don't think he's decided. He's leaving his options open. He had some opportunities in D.C., has some opportunities locally. So we'll have to wait and see.
And I can't wait till you get back. Last time I see the pitch, I think he had a beard or something.
He still has a beard. Yeah, I got to tell you that. So he's been back, and I saw him. It's amazing how little he's changed.
Okay.
Because I was just like, whoa, you look exactly the same. But he still has the beard. Like I said, he's doing well. His kids are doing well. They're in an international school over there where Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela sent their kids. So it's a great institution.
So have you ever been over to Africa?
No, I'm going to go next summer.
That's
my plan.
That's your plan.
Yeah.
So basically, right now, where you are right now. Okay, we talked about Steve. Let's talk about your family.
Okay,
I don't want to forget your family. We got his family. We got to get your family.
Yeah.
So you married?
Well, I have 2 kids, Sarah and Andrew. Sarah's 26, Andrew's 24. She is a teacher in Washington, D.C. She teaches kids with autism. And then my son, Andrew, just came back to Cincinnati. He did a year of service in Nashville, and now he's back, and he's the director of the ODP in Southwest Ohio. So he's the political director for the Ohio Democratic Party. What that means is he's helping out Sherrod Brown and the Democratic ticket statewide, but he's got 17 counties. And so Hamilton County is one of the 17. So he goes up through Dayton, all the way up almost to Lima, which is quite a stretch, all the way up 75. But he loves it, and he's trying to keep the political folks, the elected officials, the folks that are running this year, all kind of walking with the same step, kind of on the same page.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So we got that. We got the kids out the way. So who's next?
Well, so let me just tell you. So I'm one of 8 kids. There's a whole bunch of Driehaus. This is R.E.A.L. There's Driehauses everywhere. But my dad ran for Congress in 1968 when I was 5, and so that was my first foray into politics. And we all campaigned for him, and we wore the hats, and we sang the songs. And I tell you, I saw him do that and how much he enjoyed doing that and the impact he hoped to have if he was elected, and he ran for Congress. He did not win, but even at that early age, I got kind of into it. You start into it. And I remember putting up signs for different candidates. Some of the Lukens were putting signs in the ground with the sledgehammer. And then I moved on to work for Charlie Luken for a while when he was mayor. I worked very hard on Dwight Tillery's campaign. When he ran for mayor in 1991, I helped with Todd Portune and some others run that campaign. And remember that year Dwight became mayor. Dwight had never run for anything before, and so that was quite a victory for everybody.
That time, and that's when my career started, because I came here in '89, and around that time, that's when I met Dwight. I met Gloria Shuttlesworth at that time. She was working for the safety department. R.E.A.L. Nelson, he was over, I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, the Human Relations Commission department, and Dwight was running. That's when I actually got my feet wet.
Well, and Dwight was a great candidate because he was a professor at Miami University, but it was his first time out, so he didn't have a lot of name recognition. And so we took him to all the festivals and put up the signs and did the commercials, and so he won. Not only was he in the top 9, he was number 1. So he became the mayor. It was so exciting. On election night, none of us could believe it, including him. I think he would tell you, he couldn't believe it. He was just so surprised. And now he's with Closing the Health Gap, which is great. And he's doing a lot of work in the city on health issues and trying to create a healthier community, especially with obesity. He's doing a lot with obesity. So he's gone on to do really great stuff.
I was just about a week ago. I was working with him on the community engagement. That's a part of the Closing the Health Gap that he's hosting now out in Madisonville. I just seen him last week. I'm a part of that class. And we was talking about the days and back in the days and whatever. And I had just seen him last week. It was last week, and he first started, I think it was the grassroots leadership program, and this is like the 3rd one, and it's like a community engagement. It's like 8 months course that teaching people how to engage, how to empower, networking, that whole thing. And that's where I had talked to him about a week ago, and Then you said you went on to work with Charlie Luker. Was you working around with Charlie Luker when Bernadette Watson was there?
I know Bernadette well.
Yeah.
No, actually, okay, so no, Bernadette and I worked together at City Hall. Now, Bernadette is running the Obama field organization
right.
down here, again, in the county. But I worked for Todd Fortune for about 2.5 years in the mid-90s. Bernadette worked for Minette Cooper at that time. And their offices were so close to one another that here's an office, and they backed up against one another. So Bernadette sat here, and I sat here, and so we could hear each other all day long, and we became really good friends.
Okay.
And I just came from a meeting with Bernadette just before the show. So she's doing real well. But she and I are very good friends. We're matriarch, we're older, right, than a lot of the folks that are involved right now. And so we have this great relationship, and she's doing such good stuff with Obama. And Obama's coming in on Monday. Yeah, and so she's kind of organizing the tickets, and we should tell folks that the Obama offices are going to have those tickets for that event. And my understanding is that there are going to be a couple thousand tickets available. And I don't have the details, but I do know that people need to go to the Obama headquarters that are all throughout the city and the county to get those tickets. And so I'm guessing you can get on a website and figure that out. But they're giving those tickets out soon.
Okay, so I know that they have one of the Obama's headquarters downtown, and what I would do is sometime today or whatever, I will give Bernadette a call, and because he be here Monday.
Yep.
So today is Friday.
Well, right. So we're bumping up against
Right.
it. Yeah, it's
I need to be calling Bernadette soon as after the show. Bernadette, if you out there, you looking at this show, Thomas, I know y'all be watching. Call me.
That's right.
Call me. And so I don't know. Are you on the political list? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I've got Bernadette on my speed dial, so I could buzz her. But there's an office in Walnut Hills, and there's one in Over the Rhine. There's one out in Cheviot.
Roseland.
There's one in So they're all over the place, and they've been opening them like every other week. A new office opens up. We've got a lot of Obama offices here in Hamilton County, which I think indicates the importance of Hamilton County and the fact that President Obama's coming to Hamilton County. I hope people realize what that means, because what it means is that we are ground zero for this election. And so people have to understand how important it is to get out and vote in this election, because Hamilton County is kind of the bellwether, and as goes Hamilton County, so goes the election. And so we need to continue to repeat that and encourage people to get out to vote. But anyway, there's a reason Obama's coming here, because he's trying to remind people about how important it is to get out on election day.
And if anybody are familiar with the mix of the Obama office, is right across the street, right on Main Street. It's right on Main. It's not even. You can look across the street and less than a block, you see the Obama's headquarters right downtown. Go down there. I think they stay open until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Get one of them tickets, whatever, because once after this show, I'm gonna definitely go over to the Obama office and make sure that it's some tickets or whatever is available, because like you say, you got Saturday, Sunday, he be here Monday. What is some of the issues right now that you like about what Obama is putting out?
Well, he's talking a lot about the economy. Of course, we're talking about jobs, and so as a state rep, you try to learn. I'm a business owner too, and so I have a certain sense of what it takes to create jobs. But we need to talk to folks that really create a lot of jobs in the state of Ohio and in the country. And so I've had the opportunity to talk to medium and small-sized businesses. And when you ask them, what is it that we as government officials can do to help you create jobs, what they count on us for, and you hear Obama saying this, and it's true, is infrastructure. We need to keep the roads in good repair. We need to have railways so they can transport their goods. We need to have ports on the river so that if that's the way they transport things, they can do that. They count on us to provide education, good public education, K-12, higher ed. But now we're hearing a lot about workforce development because so many people in the past few years have been laid off, and they need to retool. because the jobs are different. The ones that are the jobs of the future are different than the jobs that they used to have. And so they need new skills. And so Super Jobs Downtown is doing some retooling so that people, it's called workforce development, but so that people can participate in jobs for the future. And so we're investing in that too.
So is this for different I know you're talking about the Super Jobs Downtown. Is this is being incorporated in all the Super Jobs? Because I know they have one at Community Action Agency just as well.
They do a lot of workforce development. It's all this, a lot of folks are doing workforce development because they realize that people that have been laid off doing one thing aren't going to get a job doing that same thing. So in people my age, yeah, that can be difficult because I still need to work, but I'm not a new employee anymore. So I need to be retrained to do something and pretty quickly so that I'm not out of work for a long time. And so you hear Obama talking a lot about that, kind of the new economy, and so that's workforce development. And he also talks about kind of the safety network that we need to remind ourselves of. There are folks that are still struggling, not only because they've been laid off, but through the foreclosure crisis, the housing crisis. And we cannot forget that we need to provide for those people because we are a country that cares about one another. And so he's talking about the safety net services too.
So there was a couple of issues. What do you think about the issues as far as Medicaid?
Well, Medicaid's one of the safety net services.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And in the state, we spend a lot on Medicaid, and I'm a proponent of expanding Medicaid. We've heard a lot about health care and about Obamacare, and I think Obama is claiming it, and he should, because it's a good thing, to provide health care for everybody. And so the Medicaid coverage is part of that. And so when we expand coverage for people for health care and children, seniors, folks with disabilities, everybody, we provide preventive care for people. So not only do we have healthier people and healthier communities, but we keep those folks out of the emergency rooms, and that saves money. So when we talk about health care and Obamacare and Medicaid, the programs that we're talking about keep folks out of the emergency rooms, which is very expensive, and make sure that they're healthy people and they get the care that they need early on so that they don't develop into long-term illnesses that we have to treat in a very expensive way.
So how long you have been a state rep now? I mean, you'll see. What was your first term?
I went in 2008. When Obama won president, my brother Steve won for Congress and I won for state rep. It was a good year.
Okay. Good year.
So I've been in since 2008.
Since 2008?
Yeah, I'm in my second term.
In your second term. What do you bring different in your second term, or what you would like to see in your second term to bring among change as a state rep?
Well, so it gets back to jobs, because we need to talk about jobs. We've lost jobs because of the national economy. We lost jobs. And so we need to, again, understand what creates jobs in Ohio. And, so I was just at an education forum this morning, and I was talking, or was it yesterday? It was yesterday. And I was talking to a group of folks that are talking about community learning centers in Cincinnati. So many of our public schools have this model. It's called a community learning center, where we bring in resources from they're public partnerships and public-private partnerships. So in Euler School, for instance, down in Lower Price Hill, very diverse community, a community that has struggled in the past and really struggled with their students to have them even graduate from high school. These kids don't generally graduate from high school. So they've reconfigured that school down there. So it's K through 12 now. So they keep the kids in the community, but they're bringing in all these resources. So they need dental care. So they've got a dental facility in the school. They need recreation opportunities after school. They've brought in recreation and are redoing the fields down there. They need health services. I was just with the commissioner of the health department. They've got health services in that building, so that a kid that comes into that building to learn, if they have other issues that prevent them from learning, they're hungry, they've got a toothache, they're not feeling well, they can't see, then the school, what's in the school, these partnerships help provide vision services, dental services, so that child is then ready when they step into that classroom to learn, and they're having success with it. So these community learning centers are in most of our public schools, and to me, and I'm on the board, so I'm a big proponent of it, but it's so important that we invest, because the state, and I wasn't in favor of this, but the state cut over $2 billion to education in the last General Assembly, in the last budget. And so if we're going to have fewer dollars, we had better invest them wisely. And when you bring in these partners, it's their resources coming into the building. Those aren't education dollars. Those are health department dollars, they're recreation department dollars, but they create this community in the school that helps boost up the child and helps the child succeed, and it helps the education dollars go further. So this is I think, a really important concept. So what we're trying to do in Cincinnati is make sure everybody in Cincinnati knows about it, but then use it as a model in the state. And so I am trying to enlighten the Ohio Department of Education and the governor's office, and we've had some meetings to just make them aware of what we're doing. I don't know if folks know this, but Cincinnati Public Schools are the only effective urban district in the entire state. That's saying something. That's saying something. And 2 years in a row. And so why wouldn't we be the model for the rest of the state? We're actually having some success here. And so as a member of the Education Committee, I've been trying really hard to make people aware of this. Eve Bolton came up, the president of the board, and she talked about it. And I said, look, this should be the model. And if we're going to create these partnerships, then let's talk about it, because we're already doing it. So that's one thing I've tried to do as a state rep, because education is so important to not only, it's great for kids, obviously, and that goes without saying, but it's also good for our economy. And I think we need to understand that.
So this model is not in Cincinnati yet?
Oh yeah, it is.
It's okay.
It's not throughout the state.
Who's the health commissioner? Brad?
It's Noble Mazaru.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of someone else that came to my mind. Okay, so that's where you are on the educational movement. Okay, now let's look at the casino. That's the question I wanted to ask. That was one of the questions that came.
Favorite, the casino.
Right. Because now I know that State Representative Lisa Reese and State Representative Dale Mallory, they had coordinated some things on actually had a forum up at Community Action Agency where they was actually people came in from the casino. The vice president of human relations, I forget her name or whatever, to actually show people how to actually go in online to do the application or whatever not. But I just think that it should have been more diverse. You know what I mean? I just wanted to get your input on what you think about the casino versus just being focused just so Afro-American males. It should be more diverse for me.
Right.
So I just wanted to get your input, your take, how you've been keeping up with it, what the information that you wanted to get out about that, because I don't know if you attend that up at Community Action Agency.
Well, so to go backwards, so I'm a big supporter of the casinos. And when that issue was on the ballot, a lot of us were speaking out about how important it was to create those jobs in Cincinnati. And it's fun. It'll create some economic vitality in that area that really hasn't had that kind of energy in a while. So I was a big supporter of the casinos. Let me point out something about the casino, though, the actual building itself, because many of us were involved kind of at the ground start of this. And we made sure that the casino's inside, but all the restaurants and the shops are on the outside. They're not on the inside. So the community is engaged with the building itself, because all the shops and restaurants are on the outside. So it's not as if you go into this building and you stay there. That is not the model. The model is to have all the storefronts outside, so that you cross the street and go back to this place and over to this place, and it interacts with the community. The other important thing to remember is that there's no hotel in it. And so if people come to the casino in Cincinnati, and they will, and spend the night, they are going to go to a hotel in the area, so it provides economic development for the other businesses in the area. So that's the beauty of the Cincinnati casino. And it was constructed like that on purpose, so that it would be an engine not only for that specific spot, but for the spots around it and the hotels around it. So moving forward then, it was approved, we're building it, lots and lots of jobs, lots and lots of good paying union jobs, which I'm excited about. The forum that you refer to was sponsored by the OLBC, the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus,
right,
of which I am not a member because I'm not African American. But I'm supportive of their work, and I knew about the forum. I think I was in Columbus. I was unable to make it. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody should be able to participate in the jobs, and I think. Representative Reese in particular has been very outspoken about those jobs or those opportunities being given to folks in the communities that are suffering the worst. And I have heard her quote, I want to say 40% unemployment in some of the communities that she represents. That is a tremendously high number for unemployment. I represent the west side of Cincinnati now. My new district will be kind of the east side of Cincinnati, but I have communities in my district too that are suffering. And so yes, I want them, you know, and I've been talking to them about some of the opportunities. But yeah, we should include everybody in this stuff, because there are going to be a lot of jobs. It's going to require some of this training that I was talking about earlier, but there are a lot of opportunities down there.
And that's what I knew when I actually was speaking on it before it was, you know, before the process was actually happening. You know, I was talking to State Representative Dale Mallory, and we was working on some things for the upcoming, you know, things that was going to happen. And I just think, you know, my personal opinion, it should have been more universal, you know, for whatever it should have been, open forum, you know, whites, blacks, or whatever. But I understand that we, you know, Afro-Americans is suffering, you know, about the job, you know, even when we talk about how we're going to tie ex-felons, you know, what you think about that piece that's dealing with the casino?
Well, so we just had some legislation dealing with folks that are coming out of prison, and it's called this collateral sanctions bill, and again, you know, everybody was very supportive of that, and so we need to remove some of the restrictions for people that are coming out of prison so that they are not banned from doing certain things that allow them to get jobs.
So what about the ones that's not in prison? You know, the ones that do have, I mean, you know, is it still dealing with policy, quote unquote, you know, the restriction that some jobs that ex-felons is not going to be qualified for because, you know, whatever positions have
well,
these
we got rid of some of those. We got rid of some of the restrictions. We just passed some legislation, bipartisan legislation. Folks had been working on it for years, and we finally got it passed in this assembly, and that was a good. And it was I want to say it was unanimous. I think it was, but it doesn't make sense, for instance, to train somebody to be a barber in prison, and then when they come out, they're not allowed to be a barber because there are these restrictions that disallow that. That doesn't make any sense. And so we were looking at some of those things and trying to remove the restrictions that didn't make sense to provide more opportunities for folks.
Okay, I'm looking forward because I know that I want to say Deanna Hopkins of the Hamilton County ex-offender director for, you know what I'm talking about. I know she has some input on that. I'm gonna have to give her a call and get her on the show and see, you know, what part or what role or what connection that she have actually connected with with whoever that's overseeing, you know, that issue with ex-felons, so they can have a fair opportunity in some of them jobs, you know, just as well, you know, because I wasn't hearing that. But I know that State Representative Lisa Reese had asked her to come and be a part of the forum that they had at Community Action Agency at that time. How you like Washington Park? What you think about the things that's happening with the park and all the new development now?
Well, I like it. Looks great. I mean, it looks great. The challenge there is that the people that live in that community and live there for generations, we have to be very careful about incorporating them in this new development. So all the new development's great, and we've all seen the Washington Park, and it looks wonderful, and all the new shops and restaurants and stuff, and it's great, and 3CDC's doing a good job. And I've talked to them about this concern, and they're aware of it, and they're working it. But we have to make sure that the folks that live there don't feel like it's no longer their neighborhood, you know, like somehow, or they're displaced. And so I think that's the challenge in over the Rhine, and especially near Washington Park. Never mind the people that are residents there, whether they're owning or renting, it really doesn't matter. They've lived there for many years. There are also some social service agencies, and I just read in the paper, I think it was yesterday, that some of them are moving, but some of them are not. Tender Mercies has buildings around there, and we need to make sure that they're They're part of it. They're part of the plan. You know, they can't be left out of the plan or it fails. And so you know, I think that's something we have to be careful of. I know 3CDC is aware of it, and he has people, you know, amongst their ranks that are working. I've talked to Bonnie Newmeyer a little bit about the concern, and she shares the concern. People that have been working down in that neighborhood for many, many years. So again, I think it's great, but I do think we have to be careful, you know, to make sure the residents are part of lifting up that community.
Well, I guess, you know, I look at it like a buyout or whatever, because the development with the condos and all these different things, there ain't too many low-income housing or apartment for rent that's really there, because it seems like they're moving people out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It has to be mixed. I mean,
there's no balance there. I mean, you have from what it was to now, it's like very, you know, little. You know, I feel as time go on, you know, once the casino get fully built up and everything, you know, a whole lot of things going to change. You know, because now Cincinnati become a 24/7 city. You know,